where we are.
You found us?
It pulled us up right on the Google Maps.
Well, don't tell anybody.
There we are.
Secret location.
Oh,
The Alive and Social
really?
Studios. Very, very secret.
I'm sure.
Although we apparently invite the public to come to see
We
those
didn't
little
invite
live
the public?
performances. No, we did.
No, we did.
That's what I'm saying. So apparently we are telling people where the place is, but still a secret on the Minnesota Pubcast. Hi. That's
Hi.
Molly Burke over there. I'm Jason McGovern.
Hi.
Well, we're in once this week again, but we're going to try to make the best of it for you and try to make it up to you a little bit. And then I do have a couple nights off next week. You and I will talk about that off air, but hopefully we will get back for
No,
two
you don't.
shows.
You don't
I
have
really
nights
do.
off.
I really do.
This is the.
What are you doing over there?
I'm trying to order pizza,
On
and I like the app. I don't love the app.
oh, you mean you like the idea and not the app, or you
Look at
like parts of the app but not the whole app?
Exactly.
Is that
Parts of the app, like awesome concept. Look at it. Just doesn't. It just has a couple glitches. You know what I mean? Like set address. Okay, I click it. It doesn't do anything. You know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like help me out here.
Well-
What are you drinking tonight?
Going with the old safe one, the old Summit Saga. What? That's not exactly our address.
Well,
actually.
it's
That's
close
why.
enough, but
Yeah.
but I'm saying set
But
it.
you're right, it
How do you
doesn't do
set
anything.
it? It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything.
Yeah, see, and that's what. Whenever you release an app, it has to be
But
perfect,
the app
or
is
you're
already
going
out
to.
in other cities, so it's confusing
So
as
you
to
think
why
it's
there's.
just here? There's a glitch or something?
I think.
I suppose it just was. What was this launched today?
Today.
Today is the first day, and
Today
we're talking
is
about
the first
Postmates,
day.
the app, where that's how you get Chipotle delivered.
Really fucking
and
cool concept.
A bunch of other stuff.
It's pretty much anything, like anything you want. It geo targets you, pulls up everything around you within your delivery area, and you click what you want, you order it, and then they deliver it to you. It's like an Uber driver is out and about.
And they do have only specific restaurants, though, right? Like they have kind of a deal with a certain amount of restaurants. I'm assuming you can't just go, "Hey, stop by McDonald's and grab that."
No, I think you can.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know the exact concept of it, but I figured it was. I barely looked at it because it's not in my area, so I couldn't really like go in and even do like a mock order.
Well, like look it up. Like okay, we're Hell's Kitchen, Wakame, Rosa Mexicano, Punch Pizza, Burger Jones, Lotus, Urban Eatery, Liquor Lyles, The Lowry, Namaste, Chipotle, Bulldog, French Meadow. Like
That's a lot of stuff.
so much shit. Famous Dave's.
And now
Moto
the
Eye.
catch with all of those is always their
Pizza
charges on top of the food charges. Do we know what
It's a delivery fee. So I think that it mimics Uber. So if it's normal hours, it's like a $5 minimum delivery fee. And
But
then,
if it's
and then
during
if it's
peak times or something,
peak
they'll
times
charge
it
you
goes
more.
up, and
Okay.
the farther away you are or whatever. It's a really cool concept.
Well, I delivered for one of those 8 and 10 years ago or something. My cousin actually ran one out in like the eastern suburbs, and it was a good concept, but it was just we couldn't do the service and make enough money off of it at a price that would be worth buying it. Like it was way more worth it for you, the customer, to just go to Champs and get your own takeout than it would be to pay somebody else to do it. But
Right.
yeah, I think it's kind of like Lyft and all these other apps in Uber. It's about volume. If you get enough volume, you can make enough money to pay your drivers, and then it makes it all worth it.
Sure.
But I spent a lot of time at Starbucks reading Vince Lynn books, like just waiting for a delivery.
Oh, you know what? I think it's making me fill out my information.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't get far enough to figure all that out.
That's what I think it's asking me to do.
Well, here's an idea.
It's just not super clear. The CTA isn't super clear.
Everyone go get the Postmate app and try it out tonight, and let us
Yeah.
know, and we'll talk about it next week.
Let's
You
know.
can
And
tweet
right
at
now,
us and
free
talk shit about it, or
free
tell us how
Punch
great it
Pizza
is.
until 9 p.m. We're not being helpful. But you can go online and search promo codes and stuff, and you should be able to find some good stuff as they're kind of doing their soft launch. So
Well, you'd think, yeah, with
it's
the
a
being new,
fucking
they're going to
cool
give you some good deals.
concept,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. But anyway,
Okay, so
so what are you drinking tonight? And now
I don't
brought
know,
that.
You brought it. For
I know,
me.
and that's a sample that one of the distributors just brought into me at work. So I actually have no idea what it is. I just saw it was gluten free, so I'm like, well, I definitely got to bring that for Molly because even if I like it, I'd rather you try it because you need it to be gluten free. Although my sister and I tried a gluten free like IPA last night, and it was not good. But
It
I don't
wasn't?
remember. Yeah, but I don't remember
You
the
can't
brewery.
remember the- yeah.
There's just no flavor, and I don't know if that's a gluten free thing or if that was they just made a bland
let's
beer.
try it.
That doesn't necessarily mean it. But you're drinking a dry hopped lager from
This is-
Greens. I have never really heard of them.
This
all
is
natural.
also less flavor than what I'm used to with some beers.
Now, gluten free wise or just in general?
Gluten-free wise.
Okay,
I'm talking
so
about
even
gluten-free beers.
okay compared to
specifically.
other gluten-free ones, that's a little
I would say that
low
you're-
on the flavor.
You're probably going to find this less flavorful than Birdie Bros, but maybe not.
Well, but being a lager too, I don't think it's supposed to be too flavorful.
Oh,
you
it's
know.
not. I mean, this is
A lager's
pretty,
going to be a little more chill.
This tastes a little watery.
Okay, well, yeah, that's the thing. That's
It's not bad. I don't think it's bad, but it tastes watery to me, but maybe not.
It's weird on the nose. Floral. That's weird.
Oh, it does have a little bit of floral. You're right.
That to me, that's a patio beer. I like that. I like that a lot.
I like it too.
You're right though. It's light. It's just that's a lager.
It's a light lager.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything. There's nothing wrong with that beer for sure. So hey, there you go. If you're looking for a gluten-free beer, the
it's
Greens
called-
dry hopped lager.
Greens, yep, all natural enterprise. I don't know what that means. Oh, it's a product of Belgium.
Yeah.
Fun.
So
fun.
I wonder how much that is.
Oh, I don't know. Probably. I don't
I don't know.
$7.
Yeah, I wonder what if we were actually going to sell them, what we would be getting them for. But anyway,
Thank you for bringing that.
yeah, you're welcome. And like I said, I'm sticking with the old Saga. That's last night. Went to Tame Impala, and before we did, we hit up the Happy Gnome in St. Paul before we head out there, hitting the patio, which was nice. And ordered an IPA, and it was one of those ones, and it's very disappointing. I'm not even going to say the brand because I really like the brand, but you get it, and you're like, yep, that's an IPA. Like nothing special about it, and that's what I like about Summit Saga is to me it's just an IPA, but it's still got a little bit of flavor to it where it's a little special.
Is it the type of beer though that's just meant for the average drinker?
An IPA?
No, the beer that you got. I mean, some beers are positioned more as just like they're just fine. Like if you're not a picky beer drinker. I don't know if picky is the right word, but you have a palate for beer. Like you know what you recognize. I think more flavors and tastes than other people would. Was it yucky or was it icky?
Was it gross?
or was it just a normal beer that wasn't very deep? Didn't have much.
That's you nailed it right there. It just didn't have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
It's just an IPA, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But I never it's not something I'd order again, and that's disappointing because like I said, I'll say it's from Green Flash. Green Flash has made a ton of great brews, and this IPA I don't remember exactly which one it was, but it just wasn't quite
dull.
But Green Flash and Ballast Point are two of the biggest breweries out of San Diego, and they are going to be a hop head is going to go to them thinking I'm going to find a solid beer, and that one just didn't quite hit the mark.
Happen for you.
But that's just for me too. I mean, we all have individual palates, so that can be different for each person.
Maybe. Well, and you're supposed to drink a beer after your workout, so this is perfect timing.
Well, and why is that? What do you mean? You're supposed
There's
to?
something about something in beer that they actually suggest you if you had a hard workout to have a beer after your workout, and it helps. I don't
Something
know
about
if
the enzymes or something maybe
I don't
in
know
it,
if it
or
just
who knows?
continues, if it just kind of ups your calorie burns, you continue to burn calories, if it actually does hydrate you in a specific way, if it kind of replenishes something that you've lost in your workout. So I either have a beer or chocolate milk, but I usually have chocolate milk on hand, which is why I have a gallon of chocolate milk.
And we're going to get
gallon.
to what you drink says about you, and the chocolate milk will have to come up in this conversation later.
I always have True Moo in my fridge or with me, and I drink it straight out of the gallon.
Weird.
Why?
I don't drink chocolate. I have the last place I had chocolate milk was probably at work. It's been mixed for me a couple of times, but otherwise, I was working in elementary school the last time I had chocolate.
You don't
milk
drink
before
chocolate
that.
milk ever?
Never. No. I barely drink milk. I drink it with or I have it with cereal, and I might have it with a certain type of dinner, but I don't even really drink milk.
At least a glass of milk a day.
See, I think milk is weird. We're the only mammal on the planet that drinks other things milk. It's weird. No other mammal does that. Or past infancy, too, or whatever.
But it's delicious.
And don't get me wrong, I like milk. And I get my organic milk from Target, and I dig it, and I spend way too much on it, but I don't drink a lot of it. All right, well, so last week, the title of the show was Sports, and that was a...
Sprats.
That's actually a...
Wait, can you smell me from over here, speaking of sports?
No. After your post-workout, you mean?
Yeah, post-workout. I'm disgusting and sweaty. This is why I don't usually come here right after my workout. Sorry,
It's
I'm
good that
talking
you're on the
really
other
far
side of the
away from
table.
the
It's-
mic
that's
tonight,
fine.
but
yeah, it's not doing that
I put-
because as the note says, get close.
Get close to the mic. I put some really trashy Victoria's Secret perfume on so that it would cover up a little bit. But
Trashy Victoria's Secret perfume.
it's like smells like a stripper. I found it.
I'm
in
a little plugged up, so that actually probably helps too, because I don't need
There
stripper
you go.
perfume in my nose either.
I
I would
found
actually
it.
probably rather smell your sweaty ass than that, to be honest with you.
Nice. I found this perfume in a dressing room, and I couldn't not. It was a massive bottle of perfume,
Oh, well, free. Yeah,
and
it's hard to
nobody
turn that
was
down.
around, and I had to take it, and it's so strippery. It's called like Heaven by Victoria's Secret,
That sounds strippery.
or like Angels Heaven or
That
something.
sounds like something that Candy would be wearing.
It's so bad. So I only wear it like when I really need to wash something,
Speaking of strippers,
as in my clothes.
that got
Okay.
weird.
Okay.
We were at
Okay.
a bar, The Office, next to the VU yesterday, down in downtown Minneapolis, and the stool, they're not stools, they're chairs on one side of the bar with like leather chairs on wheels, like kind of like the ones you would sit in on Sniffers Row at a strip club. And I'm sitting,
Ew.
yeah, that's what it's called.
I know, but
And
it makes me gag a little.
well, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I've never been in a chair like that at a bar ever in my life. And I'm
Okay,
going,
a leather
is this like a
stool.
themed thing? Like, it's not a stool though, because it's
What
got
bar
a
were you at
back
again?
and it's got arms. At The Office, it's called. I think it's a
sorry.
relatively new bar, but it's right next to
got back and
Deja Vu.
arms.
Yeah, it's like a nice kind of leather chair, but and not the ones at the strip club wouldn't necessarily be leather, but the same type of style. But it was just weird because I was like, is this like a theme? Like, are they trying to play off the fact that they're next to the VU? So you still like, I don't know. It was a very
They
weird.
might,
concept.
but I don't really hang out in strip clubs that much.
Not that often. Lately, anyway.
Maybe once a year I go to a strip club.
Why do you go to a strip club anyway? As a woman, I've never
They're
really
open
understood
later,
that.
and it's just fun sometimes. I mean, it's still fun. It's fun to watch girls dance, and it's fun to watch people get lap dances, and it's fun to get lap dances. I mean, who doesn't like a lap dance?
But see, you understand from the you flip that. I would never like want to go out with girlfriends of mine and go to a male strip club.
You
Like,
wouldn't
I
want to
would-
go
I
to
would
a
have
strip club with
Zero
me?
interest in that. I'd go to a female strip club, but I'm
No,
saying
but you
I don't
want
want
to go to a female strip club with me.
I don't care. No, that's fine. I'm not saying I wouldn't go with
male
a
strip-
female.
Well, I don't want to go to a male strip club.
Okay.
I want to go to a female strip club.
Okay, so what you are saying is it really is just about watching women dance
Yeah.
for all people is what you're saying.
Yeah,
is-
like I have no
Okay.
interest in like I'd rather if I was in Vegas and I had to choose between a really nice female strip club and like Chippendales or equivalent, I would choose the female strip club.
That's so strange to me.
Because men in that capacity, like wearing those little outfits and all like ripped and oily, like is so far from what turns me on. That like women, half naked women, like gorgeous women, are closer to what turns me on than those men.
Wow, what the fuck does that mean? Or is that just everyone?
Every
I
woman
mean.
has a little bit of lesbian in them,
Well, I guess.
and
but-
I'd rather, yeah.
Hmm.
I think strip
but you
clubs are like
are
a safe.
straight.
Yeah.
So you would
Yeah,
still
but
think you would
but
lean.
strip clubs are a place to just be a little lesbian for like a little bit. And like if you want to be a little lesbian, like it's perfect to go to a strip club.
All right.
It's just like enough fill if you're like 10% lesbian. Like if you know you're never gonna actually be with a woman.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I've gone to the strip club with straight and lesbian chicks at the same
Yeah.
time, actually.
Mhm.
And like, the straight chicks, they're not trying to get the stripper's number. There's no real like attraction, but they
It's
still
fun.
enjoy being there.
For
Yeah,
sure,
that's-
it's fun.
As a guy, that is so out of this world. Like it's just so
Yeah, there's something just
so hard to imagine.
There's something just really magical about strippers.
What about with a boyfriend? Could you go to the strip club with your boyfriend?
I'm not as much into that. Like, I don't think I would like go. Like, I would go with him just for fun. Like, if we were going in a big group, and I'd like buy him a lap dance just to be funny. But I've seen couples go together as like a couples thing, and it kind of like turns each other on. Which that wouldn't be something that I would get into.
And I guess I actually understand that a little bit. Seeing your significant other get turned on can turn you on, even if
Sure.
you're not into what's turning them on.
Sure, but
Does that make sense?
yeah, but I would go just like in a casual.
Well, I
like
feel
big
like there'd be
group
a lot of
sense.
to me that's the very 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 low level of a threesome. Like you're just you're asking for
Sure,
trouble,
it's a
and it's
total
probably
low-
never worth it. You know what I mean?
I think it's a total. If that is what gets your relationship going, go for it. Like it is a total
Oh yeah,
low
teach their
level,
own.
right?
Yeah, I'm not judging
But it
it.
is
I'm
a
just
low
saying
level,
I couldn't do it.
right? It doesn't really do it for me, but it is a low level threesome. I can totally see the appeal of it. I'm not saying that it's like I think it's disgusting or weird. It's just not like that wouldn't be like the first place I would bring a boyfriend to. But I have had boyfriends that have never been to a strip club, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like it'll be fun. I'll take you. Like we'll go with a bunch of people. You know.
And the going with a bunch of people is a whole different vibe anyway, too.
Totally.
It's just a party, and there happen to
Yeah.
be naked chicks there, and you're drinking beer, and
Right.
so that's just okay. Anyway, good tangent. But like I said, so last week, sports. We're not going to do a whole lot of sports this week, but we have to touch on the fact that the Wild are done and lose 4-0 to the Blackhawks for the third straight year. We lose to the Blackhawks in the playoffs.
So
And
it makes me sick.
well,
What was that noise?
I don't know.
It sounded like a fart. Didn't it kind of?
Bad. At least not on my end.
not from my end.
Well, that was a good choice of words. Literally though. But anyway, so they lose 4-0, and it was kind of. This was one of those ones where this year they were supposed to do more, and early on in the year, expectations were high. About a month into the year, expectations are rock bottom. We're not even going to make the playoffs. Then we get a savior goalie. Everything turns around. You make the playoffs. You're supposed to make a run. You don't. What this made me think of was just that there's a lot of people that are bandwagon fans, and people really like to jump on people.
Okay.
Like for instance, I'm a Twins bandwagon fan to a lot of people. I haven't followed them much the last 3 years. I don't give a shit about a baseball team that loses 100 games a year. I have no interest in you. You've lost my interest.
What do you mean you don't give a shit?
I'm not going to follow you day to day. I will.
Okay.
I'll check up on you
it gets,
twice a month
because it gets boring.
But the
But you'll still go to
diehards.
games.
True, but again, for the spectacle and to go to Target Field, not necessarily because I support the team or love the team. But to me, I think a lot of the diehards would say, "Oh, you're a bandwagon fan now. You only like them when they're good." And to me,
But you're a Twins fan right now.
yes,
You're
and
not
I'm
you're not like a Cubs fan all of a sudden because the Cubs are good. You're not
Right.
changing allegiances because one team is better.
Thank you and I think that's the important point. Is I am a Twins fan. I'm a Wolves fan. I'm a Vikings fan. I'm a Wild fan. I'm a Minnesota sports fan. Gophers fan. All of it. That doesn't mean that I should always go, I love them, you're great, and just always say you're the best. And I feel like there's guys that are just, I love the Twins no matter what. Well, no, if they win 60 games, you should give them shit for that, and there should be some kind of repercussion. The Wild actually finally did this after 10 years. I think we kind of talked about this.
Yeah, we did.
Every game was
Yep.
sold out, and then finally they said, fuck this, we're not going to go to every game.
Right.
What did they do? Got some players. The Twins are right there right now.
Sure.
And I don't think that what I'm doing is
Are they
wrong.
still above 500?
Yes, they are. I mean, we're only like 2 games out of first, but they're falling apart already. I mean,
Yeah.
the wheels came off today. Lost like 13-1.
Mm-hmm. Lost
a heartbreaker yesterday. It's against Detroit, good team, but still. So I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there to these people that think you're just supposed to support the team blindly. That's
Sure.
that's my thing. I can't do it blindly, and I will criticize and judge, and I'm not going to financially and with my time invest in a team that sucks and that
No,
doesn't
that's
put a
not
quality
fun.
product on the field.
No, I agree. I completely agree. Like, I'll probably go to Twins games a couple of summers, no matter what, because that's just something I like to do every summer. It's just kind of on my bucket list.
It's
but
an outdoor ballpark. Yeah, what's more fun? than
totally. But but then the reverse of that is I went to the game on Thursday, went to work early Friday morning after the Wild lost. Put on my Wild sweatshirt at happy hour on Friday evening. And people walk past me and a guy stops and he goes, "Oh, you're still wearing that?" Yeah, just because they fucking lost doesn't mean I'm a Blackhawks fan.
Yeah.
Like what?
And your team did make the playoffs and get to the second
My
round.
team
Like,
was
it's
in
not
the
an awful
fucking
team. Yeah.
playoffs. Like what the fuck?
Yes,
Anyway, that
is
pisses
the
me off
opposite.
too.
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
would
why
be
am
the
I?
exact opposite.
I'm not gonna burn my fucking Wild jersey.
Well, you should just because of their colors, but that's a totally different topic. But no, I agree. I don't think that. I still think you should maybe criticize. Well, you absolutely can criticize the Wild this year.
Totally.
There's still a bunch of things they did
especially
wrong.
those last games.
And in the playoffs, exactly.
That last
So-
game was fun to go to, though. Those last couple minutes of the game were
Oh, I'm sure
It's
they were
so
just
cool.
peppering them too. But we're seriously sitting at Moe's because I worked that night and closed her down, so we're waiting for that post rush.
I'm getting flowers in my mouth.
Told you.
There's a lot of floral in
my
this
mouth.
beer.
But we're sitting there just going, just lose. Like, just because all you would have done is, what are you going to do? Maybe go 6 games and then still lose? Like, because we were going, oh, maybe we'll get one more home game, which is money for us. Like, don't get me wrong. We want wild games as somebody who works on West 7th Street.
Right.
But I'm just like, stop the bleeding. Just end it now, please. Just
Well,
stop
exactly. I couldn't handle the pressure of 2 more games.
No. And
After
against
a while,
a team like
can't-
Chicago, too, they were so they're just so much better than us. They really are.
And then the fans. I don't want to I have so many friends that live in Chicago, and the fucking fandom is brutal. It's so brutal. I don't even want to hear it from them. And then they text me weeks later, and they're still like, "Oh, you should become a Blackhawk." I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, you guys have won. I get it. Move on."
It would be awesome to be a Blackhawks fan, though. You've won 2 cups in the last 4 years. You're on your way to maybe another one. I mean, God.
You know what's going to be really awesome is when we finally win something.
Let's not hold our breath.
And we burn the fucking city down. Can you imagine the riots?
White people riots, yes.
It's going to be some serious Minnesota white people riots. And then they'll
I don't
impose a
think we
curfew and we'll be
riot.
like, oh, sorry. Oh, apologies.
I don't think we riot if we win the cup. I feel like that sport's not big enough. I mean, I know we're the state of hockey, and it's huge in Minnesota, but I mean, Vancouver is the last city I can think of that burned the city down when they won a cup, and that's Canada. That's any city in Canada you win the cup, it's gonna be different because hockey is their life. It's religion up there. I don't know. I mean, but we did. I mean, the kids burned shit down when the Gophers won a championship a few years ago. But that's the kids.
I think you get any of our big 3 sports winning, and you're gonna get some.
But I just feel like a Wild fan is a 40-year-old dude that makes $120K a year. Like, that's your average Wild fan, right?
They're rich.
Professional,
They're richer.
semi-rich.
They're richer than Vikings fans.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think so.
I think so.
And I just think
everyone
it's a different...
around us at the Wild game is so like our seats. It's just classy people, and then you go to the Vikings game, and it's a totally different breed.
Completely.
I fucking love it.
Well, the last Vikings game I went to this year when it was 10 degrees or whatever it was, so cold, and we had the 8-year-old kid with no jacket on next to us. Like, you're never going to see that at a Wild game. Like, it's different, obviously, you're outside, but you know what I mean. Like, you're not going to see a kid that isn't prepared to go out into the winter night after the game at a Wild game. Like, that just doesn't happen.
Right.
But yet this kid's at a fucking game while his dad or whoever he's with, is drinking a beer and enjoying himself, and the kid doesn't have gloves on. Anyway.
And the other favorite part, when we were at the game, there was this like slightly white trash looking couple. Right, we have like row 12 or something like that. So everyone around us is like, like
doing
you
well.
said,
Yeah.
doing well.
Yeah.
And I look at this couple, I'm like, oh, cool. They look a little trashy. And then of course someone comes and they're like, you're in our seats. And they go up to the fucking nosebleeds.
Wow.
I was like, oh shit.
You didn't even belong here. Now it all makes sense. I have a quick interesting story, and then I swear we're getting off sports, at least till maybe we come back to Deflategate, but we'll see. But just because of what you just said there, I remember I had the Hubbard tickets, all right? I seriously think they were stands tickets. It was for a Gopher game. This is back at the Dome still. And a buddy of mine get just demolished in the parking lot. I think we missed at least the first quarter. I mean, we were just tailgating for hours.
You can't get that fucked up when you have that good of seats.
I know, but we didn't give a shit. They were free. I mean, it was, like... And the Gophers sucked. Like, we weren't good.
Okay.
And it was Michigan, so we knew we were going to lose. Anyway, just get demolished, and we go to our seats. And I don't think we really thought about how good our seats were. Like, we knew they were good, but get in there. They're 40-yard line. They're like 20 rows up, and everyone around us it's like they're at church.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they're just quiet and just, excuse me and thank you. And just, they're all 65
totally
and they're all
different
rich.
crowd.
And we're just like, fuck yeah!
Yeah, because you have to.
Like, we're freaking out, and everyone around us hated us. And I'm sitting there going, shit, like, this is my work. Like, this is going to come back to me if we make too big of a fool of ourselves. So thankfully we didn't.
Good.
Let's
it together.
Yeah, kind of. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk maybe the overthinker, or maybe some, plastic bags. What a topic. Right after this on the Minnesota Buffcast.
Hey everybody, this is comedian Paul Mercurio, and I'm very excited to say that I packed up my podcast, The Paul Mercurio Show, which wasn't my first choice for a name. My first choice was Go Ahead, Touch It, but apparently that didn't test well. Well, I'm taking my podcast and I'm moving it to the Alive and Social Network, which is weird because I'm neither alive nor very social. I've interviewed a few people you might know, like Sir Paul McCartney. Yeah, that guy. He was in a band or something, I'm not sure. Stephen Colbert, Bob Costas, Jay Leno, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kristen Chenoweth, and many, many more. I've won Emmy and Peabody Awards for my work on The Daily Show. I've had my own Comedy Central special, been on HBO, and I'm excited to be part of the new network. The Paul Mercurio Show is available on iTunes, Android, and available at paulmercurio.com. Listen to my show every week. Every week you will get rich. How? I give you a foolproof method to go out and make $100,000 without ever leaving your couch. Okay, that's a lie, but the podcast, it's good.
Join longtime radio personality and producer Kelly Guest and friend, CEO of Fantasy Gifts, Colleen Bertino, as they talk about all things sex, men, women. Lend them your ears and learn everything you wanted to know about sex and intimacy. Only here on the Alive and Social Network.
Minnesota Pubcast. We back.
Hey.
Let's talk plastic bags. I do want to talk about that.
See,
actually.
my roommate's
I really
really
do.
cool. I'm a fucking bitch in the
Oh
house
God!
for
Did
sure.
she just totally accommodate?
For sure,
Of course
because
she
she's
did.
fucking cool.
But I will. I'm on your side a little bit here though, because the entire time in this little text message battle, we don't need to tell.
It's not a
exactly.
battle.
No,
It
not
wasn't a
battle. Back and
battle.
forth. I'm sorry, back and forth.
Yeah.
I think the entire time you were trying not to be bitchy. Like even if you knew what you were saying might come across as bitchy, but the whole entire time you were trying to be reasonable. So even if even if she does think you're a bitch and she's totally accommodating for you, I don't think you should feel badly about it. So I am not an environmentalist. I think that maybe has been established. We haven't even really talked global warming. We've talked
You're
about
not an environmentalist.
like I don't sit around worrying about the environment, and I don't go out of my way to do much for it. I'm not. I don't throw trash out my window when I'm driving down the road either. You know what I mean? Like,
Do you recycle?
yeah, but I don't.
Do you recycle?
I recycle, and this will show you how much I do care about the environment. I do cut my 6-pack, the rings.
That's
the
important.
plastics. I do. And
That's important.
That first time I ever saw like a fucking turtle with its shell misshaped, with that around it, I was like, all right, I can take the 2 seconds to do
Yeah,
this.
you sometimes just gotta look at the grody stuff, and you start to feel real bad.
Well, I will say it disgusts the shit out of me that we had that island of trash in the ocean. Like the things like I'm not. I guess I'm not a radical environmentalist.
You know what the most
I guess I'll say.
interesting thing though about environmentalists and the environment and global warming is trash. Trash is kind of the least of our worries, and we really, really focus. Like recycling is important because it saves energy. Essentially, it's what you're doing when you recycle a lot. You're not wasting
remaking
coal
the thing again
totally
from scratch. Or
But in terms of trash and the size and amount that trash takes up space, it's really not. That's like we have plenty of room for trash, and we can send it to space.
But if that's the case, then why do we have that island of trash?
No, I'm not saying that it's not an issue. I'm just saying it's become the focus issue. Like, oh, I'm an environmentalist. I recycle.
I'm saving the planet because I threw a fucking
and it's
Coke
like really
can in the bag,
that like great. That's
Sure.
really important, but that's kind of one of the least of our worries when it comes to overall environmental problems.
Well, and that's where
and I'm not saying don't stop doing it. Like keep
Sure.
doing it, but that is like, what do you do to help the environment? I recycle.
Well, and that's where the plastic bag controversy. What city? Oh shit! What city was it?
St. Louis Park.
St. Louis Park. It's going to ban single-use plastic bags. I just look at this practically. It doesn't even have to necessarily be about the environment. Why not use cloth bags and reuse them? And why do we put every single thing you buy in something else?
This
Always.
woman put my fucking milk in a plastic bag, and I looked at her and I was like,
It has a handle.
oh God.
And now, at least
has a
usually people
handle.
offer. Most of the time, they offer. They'll say, do you want a bag for your
I
so and
was
so?
2 seconds away from being like, yeah, I can just take it out of it. And then they're like, oh, really?
Yes.
And then they unpack it for you and they hand it back to you. And you're like, yeah, I don't really need that fucking plastic bag.
See, and I don't know where I am on government needing to come in and do this necessarily. That's neither here nor there really. But to me, this is just a small portion of this problem that I think that I don't know if it's just because it creates jobs and it's like the last manufacturing we have or something, but everything is overpackaged. Everything you buy is overpackaged. And if, like you're saying, if we're going to at least pretend that we care about trash and recycling and the environment and not putting all this shit in landfills and all that, why don't we start before the trash? Let's start at step one when you start putting shit into packaging.
Right.
Like, let's not wrap everything 5 different times. And I did it
so
myself
much
today.
Packaging. It's so wasteful.
The Caribou, the thing that protects you from it being too hot on the outside of your cup.
Yeah.
Have you really ever burned your hand on the cup?
Make it kind of hot, but no.
But again, it's just I think it's more it looks cool. Like it's a collar for your cup. Like and it's become like it's almost like a fashion statement. And like, aren't there actually like ones like little sleeves you can like buy that are
you can buy little
nicer
sleeves,
ones
for sure.
Yeah. What the fuck? But and that's again
or
least of our
bring
problems,
your own fucking reusable mug, Jason.
All of that could be done. Yes.
Exactly.
No, I agree. But again, I think this is like this to me. This is like the smoking ban. Different because there's health issues and stuff. But to me, I think that the trend was happening to where bars would have started banning smoking on their own. They would have because I think that there was a demand for non-smoking bars. It was apparently not enough to get them to change as fast as we apparently got them to now. But I think that this is another thing where I think that there's a lot of people out there like me that aren't radical environmentalists that probably lean right even politically, but they're just like, let's stop fucking wasting shit. Like, why are we doing this? This just doesn't make sense. And I think we just need to take a long look at what we're doing from step one in the manufacturing process. And again, what I'm saying might eliminate a shit ton of jobs. I mean, there's a lot of plastics made and a lot of stuff that you probably could eliminate that we don't need.
I think the plastics industry is going to do okay even if we cut back. I mean, and it saves a lot of money for companies by redesigning their packaging with less shit.
So where is the incentive? Why is, or am I missing something? Is there some regulation that a lot of these things are forced to be overpackaged?
I think that. I'm not totally sure. I mean, my first thought would be that there isn't any regulation. There isn't a lot of regulation. I mean, things have to be sealed and things like that. But I think we're just a wasteful nation. I think we like things to be big and look big and be pretty and be packaged cool. And I think that because there was no one putting any regulations around size and packaging and making sure we're not being wasteful, it was kind of a free for all.
Do you think that if you had to, not you personally, but just if a person had to, live in this within 100 square feet of all of, well, that maybe a little bigger area than that, but in their yard, let's say, like you got a house in the burbs and you got a decent sized yard, an acre yard, all of your trash for a year, you never get to remove it from your property.
Okay.
Don't you think you would change your entire life?
Absolutely.
But because and it's genius and it's lovely and it's wonderful the way we can do it in this country where you just buy a bunch of shit and throw away the stuff you don't want and you never see it again. And it's like it disappeared. I mean,
totally.
For all intents and purposes, our
easy.
trash disappears and it's free. I mean, it's not, but you know what I mean? Like it basically disappears without you doing anything.
It's basically
you
free.
Put it on the corner.
It's not that expensive.
Yeah, it's not. So you don't have to put any thought into it. I think that's actually the problem. Is that we don't see what we're doing.
Is we I mean, it starts with what do we want as consumers? We want things to look big. We want things to look cool. Like, when you open a bag of chips, for instance, there's so much bag, and then how many chips are there?
Well, and that's more about, selling you something that looks more than it is.
Looks bigger, right. So that's our first consumption issue, is we like to consume things that are a lot. We want more and more, but we want it for cheap and cheap. And then
Costco, all that kind of thing.
And then the convenience. Everything is so convenient. So convenient. And that's a good thing and a bad thing because, like, when you offer convenient recycling, like no-sort recycling, the recycling goes up. But when you don't offer things like that, we get really lazy and we don't take the extra steps to help. It's just because it is just taking care for us. So
what do you think, though? Do you think this is something that should be legislated? Do we have to do this in order to get, since we don't see what we're doing?
I'm always all for that type of legislation, anything that regulates wastefulness and promotes a clean environment. Like, that is completely my MO. And I know San Francisco has already done it. I think San Francisco was the first city in the country to do it and has seen a lot of success. Obviously, a little different mindset out there. Like I think they're kind of already on that. A lot of people already have that kind of environmental goal in mind, I suppose, for how they live their life. But I think it should be legislated.
Doesn't it seem weird that it's St. Louis Park leading the charge? This seems like
know.
a Minneapolis thing. This would have been
Kind
a
of.
Minneapolis issue.
Kind of. They might have a kind of a more liberal, progressive-minded board and easy to get through on the board, and
Yeah, I suppose.
But I'm all for it. If it forces people to start reusing their bags, which is super easy to do, or buying plastic paper bags, which is you can recycle the paper bags. You know what I mean?
No, and I just
And the
always
plastic
ask for
ones go
paper
in the
because we just
trash.
use that as our recycling
That's what we do,
container
too.
anyway. So it's everybody wins. I don't know. I don't think that we're ever gonna. This is one of those things, and I hate this, but it wouldn't probably change without legislation. This is one of those things.
No.
I don't think, as much as I think I'm conscious of it, and I think there's a lot of people like me that are conscious of it, we're not going to take the next step. I'm not going to go get that cloth bag until I'm kind of forced to, which is sad, and I don't like that.
I mean, you have seen a shift in people using reusable bags kind of on
I
their
do
own
see
in
it
the
more
last
often,
10
like
years.
at Target and stuff. I do see that now.
I remember I used to work at Cub Foods back when I was in high school, so 10 years ago now, and almost 10 years ago, and people really didn't use any sorts of reusable bags. Like every once in a while, Hippie would come through with it, and then slowly but surely, like the more years I worked there, the more you just see a couple people, and I was like, why doesn't Cub Foods? I'm not kidding you. I thought of this. I was like, why doesn't Cub Foods offer 10 cents off, or whatever it is when you bring in your reusable bag? I was like,
because it would save them bags, you mean?
Because it would save them bags.
I
They
guess
don't have
per
to order
customer,
as
they're
many
probably
bags.
saving almost the 10 cents. Yeah.
absolutely, and that's exactly what a lot of grocery stores do now. You go in and per bag you get 10 cents off, 20 cents off, whatever it is, or you can donate it to an organization. Whole Foods does that, Trader Joe's does that. And yeah, I don't know, it just makes so much more sense to me.
See, and I remember, especially in my crazy right wing KSDP days, just thinking, just what a fucking hippie you are if you have your own cloth bag when you go to the store.
But do
And
you have your
here
own
I
cloth
am
bag
going,
now?
No, I don't have one, but I
don't have
should, and
one?
I will get one. I will get one, especially now that I've talked about it.
Well,
Why not?
I will
Why
gift
not?
you one. My nose itches. Do you have
Somebody-
allergies?
Is your roommate thinking about you?
Maybe.
That's probably what it is.
She's cursing me. Just kidding. She would never. She's too nice.
hates you. She hates
She's
you.
so nice. She doesn't hate me.
Do you want to talk about that modern man? Dating the modern man.
I would love to
today?
talk about dating the modern man.
Because this was what, New York Times?
Yeah.
Yeah, a great piece, by the way.
It's
And
their modern love column.
here's what I want to start doing, and you help me with this. And I think
Sorry,
that you're
my
even.
nose really itches.
I think you'd be better at this even. But we need to start posting the links to most of the stories like right after the show. We should put them up on Facebook or whatever, so that
Yeah.
people can go find it. Especially
Right.
one that was as well written as this one was today.
Well,
But
they only publish the good ones in New York Times.
well,
Modern love.
obviously, I mean you're gonna get the best of the best when you're talking about pretty much the biggest paper in the world. But just a great piece about. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah.
Because this is. I mean, you're the one that dug it. So.
Sure.
And I dug it too, obviously. But
So I believe this was part of their college essay contest. And every year they have a kind of a different question that they pose to college students. And this year it was, what is dating like in the modern age? Which, was pertinent and super.
probably always pertinent. Really.
Absolutely. And whatever. So the winner, I think we might have talked about the winning column maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago when it was announced. And she had a great piece about how her and her long-term quote-unquote boyfriend never had a label.
Mm-hmm.
And they were on and off, and they would spend these amazing weekends together, and they did everything that couples did, but they didn't ever say, I love you, or you're my girlfriend, you're my boyfriend. And I thought that was super fascinating because that happens to so many of us now where we're too afraid to just really show our feelings. It's always like dancing around this, we have to pretend like we don't like you as much as we actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And this essay that came out today that I posted was kind of an offshoot of that. And I think she got second or third place. And it was really about, I'm trying to remember here, how dating many men now that they're on Instagram and they're on Facebook and they're, on Twitter and they're trendy and they're cool and they drink, craft beer and they do all the good stuff and they're super nice guys. But then underneath like this modern man, there's this also inability to really commit and to label anything.
They don't want labels, yeah.
Yeah, and it was her story of breaking up with a man who was quote unquote modern and going old fashioned. And I thought it was kind of fascinating, actually. Old fashioned as in he's not on any social media. He doesn't know what Coachella is. He doesn't like, he likes jazz music and doesn't listen to all the hot bands.
Doesn't even have Facebook.
Yeah, he's just kind of a little out of it, I suppose, and he just kind of does his own thing, which I can find appreciation for both of those types of men.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think the interesting part to me was the guy that you do all that stuff with, but won't do the label. In my experience, as the guy in those sometimes, it's the guy's not that into you. I mean, he's just not. If he was that into you, he would have a label. He'd be okay with that. It's not the Twitter. It's not the modern man thing that's the difference there. It's just, well, okay, hold on. There's a little bit more. It's a little deeper than that because the modern culture now, especially with like Tinder and Match.com and all that, is you don't have to have a label because you have so many options now. And don't get me wrong, like I don't have girls falling all over me, obviously, but you don't have to tell one girl you love her and have all of that anymore because you can have 3 girls like that where you just hang out, watch a movie, go to dinner, do the girlfriend-boyfriend stuff, but then it's nothing more than that.
Yeah, there's less of a pressure from society and families and all sorts of different aspects to commit in any way.
Well, I think it's less from the women. The women don't. I think even in my lifetime, even like back in high school and maybe like college days, it's not that you couldn't fuck a girl if you weren't dating her. That's gone on forever, obviously. But it was more, you need to show me something here or I'm not going to be with you. And I swear, I think women have allowed us to become bigger dicks. Like, we are allowed to be assholes now because you'll put up with it. And I don't know if that's new or not, but it seems new to me.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Throughout your lifetime, have guys been able to kind of get away with this? Because I swear, I feel like not that long ago you couldn't. I mean, 15 years ago you couldn't do
that.
That
has been my experience since I started dating. That has been my 100% experience. But at the same time, I've casually dated a lot, and there's been men in my life who've wanted to be something more serious with me. And
right, that can go both ways.
And
not
I
just
said
the guys.
no, and I've said no. But there have definitely been times where I've been with someone and they just cannot commit to me. And it's like everything else right now, you're not seeing anybody else. We're not, we both care about each other. Everything else aligns like a relationship.
You're exclusive, right?
Right.
Yeah. But just not that.
There's not any sort of commitment where they're forced to do what they don't want to do.
Is this the divorce culture?
Well, and I think that's interesting to bring that up because I heard that the divorce culture is actually a myth and it is no longer at every 50 couples get
I heard it was
divorced.
never 50% actually. Years ago that was reported.
In the 80s or something, or the early. I think it was the 80s where that was really popular.
But the way they tracked it was weird even. Like the way they did the math on
Sure.
it, I think even back then was weird.
And then apparently the majority of people who get married stay married.
Mm-hmm. But
which
but I think that maybe that's the
transitions.
Maybe that's the thing. Is maybe that makes it even that much more traumatic on the people that do come from divorced families and makes commitment even that much harder. So because you do see enough, I mean, I have plenty of friends that have their parents are still together. I mean, obviously the majority are together, but I think we on the divorce that come from the divorce side, I think that maybe that makes it even harder because we're seeing that it can work and it does work the majority of the time. What the fuck was wrong with you guys? But and that's with every divorced kid looking at their parents. They're saying what, or worse, obviously, some kids go, "What did I do to cause it?"
Sure,
which is the worst way you can look at it. Obviously,
I mean, even though we have this culture now, the millennials of dating a lot and not labeling things and kind of fucking around with each other's minds. Maybe not so much physically as much just emotionally. We really tend to fuck with each other a lot. I still don't get the sense that people don't want to get married anymore, though. I don't get the sense that we're moving to I think most people I talk to, my guy friends that are single and there's no one really in sight. No, you know what I mean? Not because but because they don't want to date anybody at the moment.
Yeah.
They still want to get married and they still want to be with a single person. I don't see that part of life is escaping us. It's like the getting there.
Is there something too about it's okay to wait longer now too? I think that's a big part of it. You can be 30 and single these days, and you're not
No.
What is wrong with you?
Totally.
Now,
I mean, you get
I'm
a little
getting
bit
close there. I mean,
you
I'm at
get a little
34
bit of a
now.
signal.
Now I'm starting to push it.
Yeah.
But
with-
so 28. I think if you're 28 and single, nobody is looking at you weird. Like you don't get one weird look for that.
No, you'll get a lot of. I always get you seen anybody, and then they kind of drop it quickly, and I'm like, no, how's this still going with blah blah blah? And I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not. Okay, so those twins. Yeah. No.
How's work? And I'm like, okay, let's talk about that because that really is my life.
Yeah. No. There's a big part of it though too, and I mean, seriously, how many, we're second generation maybe, where it's totally, nice spill.
It's been doing this every time I take a sip. It comes out. It's not from my
It's
mouth.
the
It's from the
It's
glass.
Yeah, it's definitely the glass.
It is. Watch. Okay, ready?
She can't drink beer, guys. That was fine.
It didn't happen that
I think
time.
you're pulling it away from your mouth a little quickly, and you're causing a splash,
know.
actually.
Every time I drink beer out of a glass, I spill it. Happened at the Wild game. Got all over my jersey. I just don't know.
Still love that you own a jersey. Shit. I don't remember where I was going with that at all now.
Oh, you were saying women working.
Oh, yeah, no,
men
but just,
working.
yeah. I mean, we're
everyone
in the
working.
second generation, maybe third, where it's completely normal for women to be in the workplace full time and equal, well, not equal to men, but you know what I mean? Like, I think in general, I look at women as equal coworkers. I don't look at them as women in the workplace anymore.
Yeah.
But that's relatively
women
new.
in the work.
No, think about that though.
That was
My
like
dad,
an 80s concept.
yeah, exactly. My dad heard that shit and was like, "That's kind of crazy,"
my God, women
dad.
in
That's
the
not that long ago.
workplace.
Yeah, but now it's that's completely acceptable. But
Yeah.
I wonder if that's part of this whole waiting for marriage thing.
I think women don't. I don't
Being
feel
okay
the
with
pressure. I don't feel the pressure to have children quickly and get married quickly. That is not the pressure that is put on me by my family, by my mother, by my grandparents. That is
By your peers.
by my peers. That is not like my goal right now in my life is to settle myself and find my own path and settle my career, advance my career, and then I'll worry about the other things.
See, and I wonder if maybe we as men still have it just built in us where we expect the woman to just want to be with us forever once we have like any kind of a serious relationship, because that used to kind of be the way it was. I mean, forever it was. I mean, it literally used to be you don't even get to choose your mate. I mean, it's just like the family decided and you're hooked up and that's how it is.
Right.
And it was at you're 18 or whatever, how old you are. And now we're to the point. I mean, just 50 years later, where it's to the point where it's completely different, and I think it's challenging for all of us. I think that to put a button on this or a bow on this a little bit, I think that we as men were confused a bit. This because it's all so new.
It's a society transition, and I think that should totally be acknowledged.
I think that's part of that modern man you're talking about, though. That afraid of commitment, not that technology part, but the modern man where it's just we can do everything except actually say we are together.
Sure.
Which is so, and I'm not like that. Again, like I've had a couple of these relationships, but I break them off. I'm the one where I'm like, all right, I don't want to like be with you, so I don't want to do this. Like I don't want
Sure.
this pretend shit. It's not. I don't enjoy being with someone that I'm not like all in on. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like that's just not fun to me.
And
So
I think that you are the majority. I just think that it's just a little more common now for us to really play around with each other's emotions for a longer time than is probably acceptable
well, and that's it. Okay.
to keep yourself mentally sane. But do you think, this is talking a little bit modern man and not committing, would you make your relationship official on Facebook, and would it bother you if the girl didn't want to?
I think that was in the
It was.
Times thing. I actually completely agree with that. It's not official until it's on Facebook. Because I think you're trying to hide something if you're not putting it on Facebook. Unless you're one of those people that just, if you go on Facebook twice a year, you're one of those kind of people that okay, fine. Then Facebook really isn't a part of your life anyway. But if you go on Facebook 3 times a week and you don't have your relationship status on there, I don't think that you're really together. It's kind of like the Chris Rock joke. If you've never met your man's best friend, you're not his girlfriend.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's with me. I'm like, what are we hiding? Like, I have nothing.
Exactly.
I'm not, oh, I'm a private person. Oh my, fuck you. Like, everyone knows we're together.
He holds
and
your hand in public, right?
Right.
That's
like,
pretty out there.
I mean, I have friends that choose not to go official on Facebook because, like you said, they just don't really use it. It's just not like every once in a while they'll write on their friend's wall and they're just not that connected. I'm a super connected person. And if my boyfriend didn't have Facebook, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. I'll probably put like in a relationship anyway.
Yeah.
And if he did, I'd be like, you know what? Can we make this, like, put it on there, please?
Well, my last serious girlfriend, we kind of had a little issue there because she isn't into the internet. She doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff.
Sure.
I mean, maybe she wrote a blog or whatever, but she wasn't Facebook and all that kind of stuff. Not her thing. And really,
just a little
does that
bit.
help? Does that help?
Yeah, thanks.
And I remember when we first hooked up, she had Facebook, and I was like, I'm on here a lot. My friends are all on Facebook all the time. I want it, like, I'm proud of this. I love you. I want this to be known. Like, this is cool. And she was totally cool with that, but it was kind of like, that was almost like she didn't need to put herself out there that much. Like, to her, that was kind of, and it wasn't because she wasn't proud of it and didn't want people to know. It was just kind of like, what business is it of others, I think, kind of. And I kind of get that a bit. Like, I never hated on her for that. We had issues on it, but I couldn't fault her for having that opinion too. And it's almost kind of like, who gives a shit what other people see on the internet? I get that. I get it.
I know, because it's like, because we're doing it for the reason of showing others because we're like proud. And
Exactly.
But like, no matter what, like, I'm probably going to post photos of us. I'm not like the type of person that's super lovey-dovey and like going to post pictures of the fucking
Constant
flowers you give
selfies
me.
with you
But
and
if
your
we're going on a
boyfriend,
fucking vacation, we're doing something fun. Like, I'm just like my friends. You're going to be in my life. You're going to have pictures
Absolutely.
up with me. This is all very hypothetical, by the way. This is not from experience. This is just how I think I would want to treat my relationship.
Yeah.
A relationship. And then it's like, well, I would rather you and I be connected. Like, we're partners, we're buddies, we're together. Like, I want our Facebooks to be connected that way.
Yeah.
Sounds weird, but maybe it's not.
It is fucking weird. Actually, it's very weird, but it's now normal, if that makes sense. I mean,
It is.
this whole concept of you have a relationship status on a website is very, very new. I mean, that we didn't have the internet 30 years ago.
Hey,
I
do
mean,
you
this
remember
is very
that
new.
scene from The Social Network?
I've only seen that movie once. I don't know if I'd be able to quote anything from it.
Love.
I need to go back
that
and watch
movie.
it again, actually,
It's a
because I
great
keep hearing
movie.
how great it was, and I don't remember loving it.
But one of the pivotal scenes in that movie is Mark Zuckerberg is sitting in a class or something, and this guy comes up to him and he hits him on the shoulder and he goes, "Hey, you know that girl that just walked away from you in your class? Does she have a boyfriend?" And he's like, "I don't fucking know, man." And he's like, "Well, will you find out for me?" And he's like, I guess." And then it pops into his head and he's like, what does everyone fucking care about?
It's the first thing you
Who's
ask.
fucking who?
Yep.
Who's sleeping with who?
So smart.
And he coded it in. I was like, whoa.
Is that before he made Hot Book, or is that...
That's after. It was when
Okay.
Facebook was
So this is after Facebook was created.
Facebook was
Okay.
launched, and it was just getting Harvard people were just getting used to it, and it was like, the basics and
No, but that's absolutely brilliant. Is the first thing you want to know is if they're single or not.
absolutely.
I mean, anytime you'll see, the friends you should add or whatever, or maybe suggested friends or whatever. If I see a good-looking girl there, click single. That's the first thing you look at.
Yeah.
Got a boyfriend? Don't give a shit. Bye.
Right.
And I think that's good. Like, she's taken. Bye. Like, I don't want to be friends with her, so let's just. And she doesn't want anything to do with me, probably.
Unless you've
it's
met
just-
on other
it's
terms
good.
and you want it, and she's cool, and you guys have mutual friends.
And don't obviously I have friends that are girls. Like that's not I'm not anti being friends with girls, but I'm not looking for any new ones. Like, I'm fine with what I got. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, that's-
I would
yeah.
rather you be single and let's try to take it there.
Well,
If we
and
become friends,
You're,
great.
you're not looking for new guy friends either that aren't
At all.
with your
At all. At all. Not at all. It freaks me. You know what freaks me out a little bit is when guys follow me on Instagram.
Why?
Why? What do you give a shit about my pictures?
I have girls following me on Instagram.
And I mean, I follow some of my guy friends on there too, but in general, I'm not. It's just weird to me that a guy
I don't think
cares
that's
what
weird.
pictures I'm posting. I don't know.
I mean, my photos are beautiful and professional, and so I get anybody who wants to
Professional.
follow me.
Are you an
I'm
Instagram photographer?
I am an Instagram photographer. Look at this fucking cool looking
paid for
guy
that?
on my Instagram, by the way. Oh, someone just wrote "lucky me" with a heart. Fucking me.
What is this now?
I don't know. Look how good looking this guy is.
I don't know if I think that guy's good looking.
Yeah, he looks like
He looks like a
like
lumber.
that
He looks like the lumber sexual.
He
actually,
looks like a cross. But oh my god, who's Abe Lincoln's? Who played Abe Lincoln in Lincoln? Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
He looks kind of like Daniel Day-Lewis and another actor mixed together with cool Warby Parker glasses. He's a good-looking guy.
I guess
He has like your hair.
He looks like an actor, and yeah,
He does look like
by
an
the way,
actor.
I will say this on the air. I rocked the man bun last night to the Tame Impala.
That's cool.
My hair's long enough now.
How
to do
was Tame Impala, by the way?
it? It was good.
It was good.
That's all I'm gonna say. It was,
Yeah, it's
good. You know,
They're good.
Yeah, they're good. And my buddy, you know, I went to Arctic Monkeys last year with him too, and so that was probably the last 2 times I've been to the first half. And he's like, which one did you like better? And Arctic Monkeys. And I think I like Tame Impala as a band better, but Arctic Monkeys put on a better show. Like Tame Impala, I just felt like I was listening to their album really loud, you know. I mean, and the lead singer has charisma, don't get me wrong, too. I like his style.
They were fun.
But here's a weird thing, too, with that style of music. If you guys are familiar with Tame Impala at all, he's always got that effect on his mic. So when he's
kind
like...
of that echo.
Yeah, that
That,
kind of
like,
echo,
reverb.
and it's almost auto-tune-ish because it's definitely not just his voice. Like, it's definitely a computerized thing that's happening to it. And it's weird because you can't really, like... I don't mean yell, but you can't really get that energy, like, in your voice through that.
Well, it's not raw.
No! Well, obviously. But, yeah, and it kind of, like, takes the energy out of it a little bit to me. So for a live performance, it just to me it kind of dampened it. Whereas
Sure.
with like Arctic Monkeys, and I think we talked about this in the show, but I've said this in public many times or to friends and stuff. Like I felt like the lead singer of the Arctic Monkeys fucked me that night.
That's
Like
cool.
in a great way. Like it was.
I'm like, that's cool.
It was like a musical sexual experience.
Well, and you know, there's certain bands that they're really good live. Like Tame Impala is just. I really enjoyed seeing them when I went last time, and I enjoy seeing them again. They're chill. I mean, their music is
I wish I would have been on
chill
mushrooms
and
or something.
fucking
It would have been awesome on drugs.
And just they're good. They're just good chill music. It's not music that I would go and fucking rock out to. And I think that happens a lot with certain bands. Like there are bands out there that are like indie, but they still have like a really hard edge to them. And you like Arctic Monkeys, you can like they just fucking rock out.
Right.
Father John Misty had that too, which I didn't expect. He's so folksy and he has these like kind of gorgeous ballads, and then all of a sudden he's just fucking shredding it, and you're like, what? You know, it's
And
this
that's
balance.
that's
like
what Tame Impala couldn't do, though.
They're
There's
chill
no
and they're
part where they
psychedelic.
shred anything. Yeah.
No. They're chill and they're psychedelic, and they like got a really, really fucking good jam going on.
This guy, we're kind of on like the left side, you know, when you're facing the stage, kind of right by the ramp, and there's like 4 spots there where you can sit, you know, like up on kind of like on the wall there where the ramp is. And this guy was basically to my left, and I remember him going, "I am not having a good trip." I was like, dude, that sucks.
Poor man.
I mean, I can't imagine having a worse place than having 1,000 people right around me and having a bad trip.
That's
Jesus.
why I don't.
No, that's
never mind.
right there's a good reason not to do hard drugs, everybody.
Very good reason.
Very good reason.
Bad trips.
Okay, now I want to switch to sports real quick one more time because we got to just talk about fucking Deflategate because this is the biggest. This is like topic A in the country right now, which is so sad. Tom Brady just suspended for 4 games for maybe or maybe not having something to do with some air coming out of a football in one game or some footballs in one game. Just Brady got 4 games.
They're using that motherfucker as a pawn.
Of course. But they did fine the team $1 million, which is a big fine, even though $1 million to a football team is nothing. But that's in the scale of fines, that's big.
Yeah.
And then they took away their first round pick next year, which is huge.
That sucks.
And their
That's
4th
the
round
funny
pick the next
ones.
year, which is big.
They're putting the message out there is what
Yeah,
they're doing.
but
Do not fuck with the balls.
And this is you do not play with our balls. And this is a huge thing because this is all we fucked up with Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson, so now we're going to take it on Tom Brady. I mean, which is so Tom Brady might have had some air taking it out of a couple of footballs. He didn't punch a woman. He didn't beat a kid. He didn't do anything really actually that egregious. Now, I get where this is an integrity of the game issue. You can't cheat. I mean, that's got to be a big deal too. You don't want guys gambling on the sport. You don't want there's things that you need. Even the drugs thing, I understand, but you caught him in the first half of the AFC Championship doing this in a game where it was close after the first half, and then they won 45-7. So in the second half, they know the balls were inflated right because they checked and they fucking took away their other balls and put new balls in. These are the league balls that are for sure certified fresh, like Rotten Tomatoes. They did better in the second half. Tom Brady doesn't need deflated footballs in order to play football. He's a fucking great quarterback, doesn't need it. So I get you can't cheat, and there are rules in place for a reason. But this punishment is so fucking beyond the pale. I mean,
it is.
You cannot. They're taking away millions of dollars away from him. And you're talking about top 4 quarterbacks in the league, if not the best, and you're taking him away from your team for a quarter of the season because you think he might have done something. Now, what this all comes down to, too, is because he didn't cooperate with the investigation, which by that means, and they say, the NFL apparently is saying, all they wanted was pertinent text messages. So, like, between him and the equipment manager or whatever, talking about footballs. Apparently, there were some text messages. I don't know what proof they even have of that, but they're like, we want your phone, okay? So, but they just want these text messages. Now,
we want your phone.
My first reaction was, Tom Brady? What if you're cheating on Giselle?
Oh, my God.
What if anything? What if you have some picture of you doing something on that phone or anything that can be leaked?
And first of all, is it an NFL phone?
No. It is not a league phone. It's not like a work phone.
If he is not subpoenaed by a court to hand over his phone, how can they get his phone?
And that's
so
I want to say maybe there's the ray of hope here is they didn't get it. You know, I mean, but they're punishing him, basically saying we know you're hiding evidence without knowing what's on the phone, and that's what the punishment is for. Is because he didn't cooperate with the investigation. Which I wouldn't give you my phone, and I'm not Tom Brady, and I'm not married to Giselle.
If I am using a phone that is yours, you've bought the phone, you've given me the phone, you're paying for my phone plan, and there is a contract that says like. This is company property. This is company property.
If you're a teacher, like the guy down in Mankato or whatever, that had like the naked pictures of his kids,
sure,
that you did that on the company phone, they get every right to take that from you.
Absolutely. But this is Tom Brady's personal phone.
Liberty.
Listen to Molly over here. I'm going conservative.
And I just want to say, first of all,
liberty.
I'm 99% sure that Tom Brady cheated and the Patriots cheated. I'm almost certain that they did it.
You feel confident they were doing a little.
Of course. And this whole bullshit too, but I don't know how much you follow this, but like the guy went to the bathroom with the footballs for a minute and a half, and they decided, well, that would be long enough to deflate 12 footballs or whatever it was. But that also happens to be about the exact fucking time it takes a man to take a piss. Right. Like, how are you just going to say automatically that had to be what was going on in there? Like, there's so much speculation.
So much speculation. The whole thing was botched, and these chairs.
Are you half on the rug, half off?
I know. I'm like, it's just my legs, my butt are tired from working out. So it's when you're after you work out and you just like it sucks to just sit.
Yes, actually, I do.
You just want to stretch
without enough beer in me, actually, to forget about how much I'm sore. Yeah.
Ugh, it sucks. The whole thing is just fucked up, and I get send a message. Don't do it again, guys. And if this is going to set precedent for future, cheaters, then just so be it. Just get it over with and set precedent for future cheaters.
And of course that is it, especially if you do punish Tom Brady. Like you're going after like the poster child of the league.
There were a lot of talks that were saying, well, they would never, ever, ever do this to that big of a name because that will, that takes away a lot of money from the NFL. And they said, well, hell yeah, we will do this to a huge name.
Yep.
So
it's all about the stance.
Yep.
And what was the last thing I want to say about that? There's just but here's two. They won the Super Bowl last year. If I'm Tom Brady, I'm going, give me the 4 games off and I still got a fucking ring. I don't care. Like, I really don't. I mean, and he's going to fight this. And I heard Rosenbaum actually today on Barrero, and he made the great point that if Tom Brady would have just come out right after that AFC Championship, said, yeah, I like my balls deflated a little bit, and said, sorry, never do it again. It's over with. I don't know what you do, but you somehow punish him there a little bit. But now it's who cares? He already won the championship. Like, what difference does it make?
When I heard that he was, facing punishment this week for this, I was like, wait, did that happen like fucking 5 months ago?
Before
we haven't moved
he won
on.
the Super Bowl, yeah. What? Yeah, this retroactive punishment shit is stupid
so
too. Anyway,
stupid.
All right. Well, you got some time more. You got a little more time?
I have a little
All right.
time.
We got a couple more topics we want to get to. We're gonna do a little super show for you here, since we are trying to make up for the fact that we've only done one this week. So yeah, let's come back. We'll do at least another 15 or so, and I have no idea what's coming up next. So stick around. You'll find out.
Reach for this one.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back online,
Let's turn it on. That took a very PG direction.
along comes this hit show.
I'm constantly burping on stage.
Hey, you heard about Madonna, right?
Twin Cities Hit Show with Rusty, Courtney, and Chuck.
Had she fallen to the ground and her eyes rolled into the back of her head, what would you, Tim Mahoney, have done?
I'd have tried to make out with her.
Nice.
Get in line.
The Twin Cities Hit Show with Rusty, Courtney, and Chuck airs live daily, 9:30 to 10:30 on the Alive and Social Network.
Ever swallowed a bug or choke like Courtney on stage?
Yeah.
The term foodie can sometimes come across as a tickle pretentious. BT and Lydia are here to demystify the term and reclaim it for the sake of good food. Their weekly podcast brings in fellow foodies and culture creators from the Twin Cities to talk about all things food. Find this duo only on the Alive and Social Network. With Suhan Unfiltered, sports columnist for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Jim Suhan presents in-depth conversations with the best writers and sports personalities in the area. Suhan brings professional journalism flavor without the verbal censoring. Find out what unfiltered really means. Only on the Alive and Social Network. SuhanUnfiltered.com.
I don't know if there's a band that has done more with less chords,
I
but God, they kill it.
fucking love Green Day.
Green Day is
I will
so good.
always love Green Day. And I went and saw them. They were kind of like my angsty teen band, which is like pretty good because they're good.
Oh yeah,
And I didn't get
that's
any
like if that's
angstier than
your
that.
if you're embarrassed about that, that's a pretty good band to have in your whatever you call that. Your
I forget to listen to Green Day, and I should more often because honestly, every single song I listened to by them, besides Boulevard of Broken Dreams, just because it was overplayed for a while, I have nothing but good positive memories associated with their songs.
The stupid "Time of Your Life" was our graduation song, so
Yeah,
I hate
yeah.
that song because that was the graduation
There's
song of every class of '98. That was their
You had
graduation
the
song.
time of your life.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean it's just that and Boulevard of Broken Dreams are just a
Those two are
little
bad.
overplayed, but everything else it's like you just can't say no.
No, and for only knowing 3 chords, they crush it. Okay, so we I think we mentioned this earlier, but what one drinks? What does it say about them? This column today that just what caught me about this was this woman's writing about. She wrote a book about whiskey she wrote a book about whiskey or drinking whiskey, and she would do all these interviews, because you do pub for your books, and every radio interviewer or whoever would always ask her things about. So what is it like being a woman that drinks whiskey, or how do women, or what kind of whiskey do women? And she's like, I didn't write a book about women in whiskey. I wrote a book about whiskey, and it. First of all, that's always funny how. If a guy writes something, it's just about the topic. But if a woman writes it, now it's from a woman's perspective because everything is male-centric. I mean, we start with everything is man, and then if a woman does something, that's special. So it's so sad that that's the way we look at life.
So special.
But what this just kind of made me think was I absolutely judge people on what they drink. Now, I don't like hang out with you or not based on it, but I judge. When people drink shitty beer, I judge them for it. When people, like, if a woman drinks whiskey, I find that interesting. Like, I don't necessarily go like, wow or ew, but I go, oh, that's different.
You think that's interesting?
Yeah, well, especially if a chick just drinks like straight whiskey. I find that interesting. You don't see that often.
You find that interesting?
And I don't even necessarily know why. There's just because in general, I mean, most women I know like wine, they like vodka, and some of them like beer. But there's not a whole lot of whiskey and even they'll drink like Captain, but not like even like rum or tequila. Even that's
like so confusing to me because all of my best friends and me only drink whiskey.
Really,
that's all we drink. And I know, and I have a few other good friends where they're vodka drinkers, and I'll make sure that I have like some vodka at my house, or I'll make sure that I bring my own whiskey when I go to see them. At least I try to remember. I'm not the best at that, but because I know that they're vodka drinkers. But like Emily and I only have whiskey in our house.
And now, what kind of whiskey are we talking? Like Maker's Mark, like top shelf type stuff?
Yeah, we do Bullet or Makers.
Okay.
We always have, and then we'll sometimes have a bottle of cheaper stuff like CC, but usually we'll have a bottle of Bullet on hand.
What's your roommate's second go-to after whiskey? Is it beer, vodka, wine? Beer. All right. I mean, you're kind of...
We will do... We always have whiskey on hand. We'll sometimes have beers on hand, and then we'll have wine.
Okay, so as a whiskey drinker, if you're on a date with a guy, if he orders like a CC7, does that mean anything to you?
No.
You don't care, or...
I don't know.
Okay. Do you judge someone on what they drink at all? Like, if I walk into the Happy Gnome, I don't even know if you could, but let's say I got a Mick Golden Light bottle at the Happy Gnome at a place with 100 taps. Would you kind of give me a weird look? Or would you just not even give a shit what I'm drinking? Like, does that matter to you?
It doesn't really. I think beer's slightly different. It's kind of like, oh, well, there's so many other better things, more interesting flavors out there. I'm like, why aren't you trying one of those? I guess I don't really care when it comes down to it. My thing is, like, cheapness. Like, if you're ordering a Mick Golden because you want to save a couple bucks, just fuck you.
Have you ever been on a date where the guy asked, what's the cheapest beer?
No.
Because especially as a bartender, you'll get that. Like, what's the cheapest thing you got? And that's the last customer you want to speak to. Like, you just want to walk away.
Sometimes I will ask what their Maker's Mark goes for or something. Because if it's...
Well, you can pay $9 for a fucking Maker's Mark meat sometimes.
But I've also paid $6.
Yeah, which is what you should pay.
So it's, I sometimes will double check that if I really want a good cocktail.
I don't remember.
I will do rail drinks for when I'm just out at dive bars.
That was the next thing I want to get to. But I don't remember where I was, but I got a Maker's Mark where it was $6 for rail whiskey, and then it was a $3 upcharge to go to Maker's Mark. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Where am I? I mean, a shot of Maker's Mark should cost $6 or $7. It should never cost It was a 50% increase for an upgrade to Maker's Mark. Like, Maker's Mark is not Black Label. I would
say that's fairly common though.
$3? That seems like a lot to me for an upgrade.
Yeah.
Like at Moe's, we charge $1.50 usually to bump it up to a good booze, or $2.
I'll test this out. Like the next time I go to
check it out. Yeah. Next time you see
my normal bar,
see what you're getting or you're charging for Makers. But
I'll see what they charge. Like at Pat's, I'll see what they charge me for.
Okay.
But I usually get beer there because they're beerless.
We'll do good beer. Yeah. But rail drinks, I judge the shit, especially out of girls. If I'm at the CC Club and they're not taking time to mix my drinks with like interesting, they're not like, they're not I know what you mean. Like, if I'm going to fucking Marvel Bar, I'm gonna order like a really top shelf because I'm paying a lot for the drink anyway, and you want to get your $15 worth. Yes, but if the hipster bartender behind the bar is taking the fucking sour mix from the gun and shoving it in with a couple ice cubes and a low ball, and no matter what type of whiskey I order, it's going to be that way, and I'm out at midnight with friends at the CC Club, like, I'd rather just have the rail drink. In this kind of session of going out, how many drinks are you having? Are you maybe getting a good buzz off of this? Okay, yeah. Okay, see, to me, if you're having more than 2 drinks, you can't drink rail. I'm technically binging. But to me, that's the headache. That's the hangover. That's where it's the worst. Wait, 5 years. I don't even fucking say that. Oh, it's the worst. It does. I know what makes me hungover, and it's not rail whiskey. Really, because I can tell the difference if I'm drinking rail vodka or something. It's a huge difference just to switch up to Smirnoff.
Not me. Smirnoff.
Smirnoff. And I always that's the one I go to because a magazine like a wine aficionado one time was telling me how they had a huge Grey Goose like gathering and gave them all Smirnoff blind taste test type deal, and none of them could tell the difference. And it's triple distilled, so it doesn't give you the hangover. But I don't know. To me, it's worth the buck.
I don't know
well, you're still going to get a hangover, but it's not as bad. If you drink
my-
Kharkov, you're going to get a worse hangover.
My issue is not the quality so much. It's when I'm mixing things. It's when I'm like when I've gone out and I've had, a glass of champagne, and then I've had a fucking whiskey sour, and then I have another whiskey sour, and then I have some sort of weird vodka shot, and then and before you know it, it's like, what the fuck have I been drinking? If I go out and I have whiskey, and nothing else, I'm fine.
I wish I could say the same. I can have 4 beers and be hungover.
I know,
but,
something's wrong with you, though.
Well, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things wrong with me.
It's true. It's true.
Let's talk about this, how you get famous in China.
Let's talk about. We should have talked about this poor guy when we were back in the social media.
That's true. Well, we kind of bring it back here, though. But, okay, because Did
you find this interesting?
I didn't find this that interesting, but it related to a documentary that I just watched. I think I only watched like the first 20 minutes, half hour of it, but it was like being white in China. And like you can literally, you and I right now could just fly to China and get a job paying decently to basically just be white at anything. Like this documentary showed this guy he's an actor, and he went and he did a conference at this huge medical conference, and he was telling people about like this medical device that his company has created, and he's a complete actor pretending to be a PhD. I know you're dying over there. What are you, cramping?
Oh no, my muscles hurt so bad.
Maybe you should tone that workout down a little bit. Jesus.
I have a triathlon in a month,
Jesus.
2 months.
Well,
I
that
have 2
explains
months
you have to do
exactly.
it.
I'm building so much weight and muscle right now. It's like, it's freaking me out. I'm starting
it's
to get
all
those,
on your
like,
legs,
I'm starting to
or
get
what?
those weird like runner's legs where there's just like
Bulging.
bleeding, and like my butt's huge. It's great. Yeah, they're bulging.
No, that's a good thing though, right?
Swimming.
It's muscle.
I swam almost 2 miles on Monday.
I don't even know how many laps would that be if you're in an Olympic-sized pool. I would.
How many meters is?
Oh, in a mile.
How many? Shit.
Wow.
Shit. Hang on.
This is how you use Siri, everybody. This is a tutorial right here.
If I swam 2,500 meters divided by 25 is a length. I swam 2,500 meters. Divided that by 25 equals 100 lengths.
100 laps.
50 laps.
Or 50. Okay, yeah, 50 laps. Okay.
50 laps.
Whew. That is a lot.
It's pretty good, right?
That's pretty good, yeah. And I love swimming as a workout. That is a great workout. But Jesus, that's how long did that take?
45 minutes. 50 minutes.
That's a long fucking time to be swimming.
I used to swim for 2 hours a day.
Oh no.
And I got out of the pool and I was like, I can't imagine swimming. I felt really good. But I slept really hard.
The second you hit the pillow.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us though.
Okay.
Let's talk about the. So okay. Okay. So it's crazy to me. You can go over there. You can be a butler and make a bunch of money just because it's cool to have a white butler. That makes you.
That sounds horrid.
Well, yeah, but we are token over there. I mean, we really. You talk about like on South Park, the token black kid.
Yeah.
If you're a white person in China, you are a token white person because you're so rare.
For some reason, in Japan and China, there is a certain interest in tall white people.
What they brought up in this documentary that I hadn't really thought about.
Go over there.
Well,
I'd
go visit
over
Asia.
there.
I'm down. It's Alive and Social. Come up with the funds. We're down. That'll be no problem. But it's to me, it's just it's fascinating because this is a culture. China specifically, Japan not as much, but China, they didn't have cars till what, the 70s?
What?
They were still horseback because they were
What are you
so
talking
closed in
about?
from the outside world. Literally, because of the communist dictatorship.
What do you mean?
They were not allowed to know what was going on in the Western world until the communication barrier between China and the rest of the world was broken down 30, 40 years ago. I'm telling you.
When did China get cars? I don't believe you. No. God.
See, Siri sucks, by the way. My buddy uses Google, and it's way
when
better.
did China get cars?
I'm telling you, they're decades behind us, minimum. Like they were like Civil War era.
Google, when did China get cars? It's Googling it now.
See, it's better.
Oh, thank God. She takes so long sometimes.
I wish
like
they could
her,
just
but
fucking answer you, by the way. When does that happen? Where it just tells you the answer instead of Googling it for you,
It's
which you
all-
could have done anyway.
and it's always just the super simple things.
Yeah.
What's the
this-
weather out? Oh, I'm looking it up for you.
Speaking of apps that need to be perfected before they're released,
Siri.
Siri is one of them. And even the Google thing. It's
You know
just
the other thing? My thumbprint. Never can read my thumbprint on the thing. It's so annoying. And I've done my
that's a 6. I mean, they had that on the
It's a
5.
6.
You'd think
It's
they'd
a
have that
6.
figured out by now. And that's actually really easy. My computer does it. I mean,
my pointer finger, just fine.
but it doesn't know your thumb.
No. With first car, new life in China. Sorry. That's a New York Times headline, but I read it like Chinese. With first car, new life in China. Okay.
So
Can we
racist.
move on from this subject
God, you're
before I
racist.
become
No, I want to keep going down this hole. I like it. But did you get a year? I mean, I'm telling you, either way, they were really behind us culturally, everything. So everything about, especially like white Western culture, is just so fascinating to them. So I think that, and the reason I bring it up, because I think that plays into this whole cell phone story that you found so fascinating. And this woman who, it was a woman, right, that lost her phone over there?
It was a man.
It was a guy. Okay.
Yeah, it was a guy.
It was a chick.
Yeah, he lost his phone and he started looking through his iCloud photo stream, because the photo stream is separate from your photo library, which lives on your phone. And he started seeing pictures of this Chinese man. Go look this up on BuzzFeed, you guys. It's the orange tree
Orange
man.
guy, or
orange,
orange
yeah,
man
the
or
orange
whatever, yeah.
orange man. And he was like this Chinese man holding oranges and like displaying the oranges and standing next to orange trees, like very serious.
Fucking creepy and weird, by the way.
And he
to me.
posted it, and he was like, "What's happening?" And apparently, his old iPhone had gotten stolen and sold.
As
Probably
they
on
do.
the internet.
They go to China,
yes,
apparently.
to China, and then obviously someone unlocked it and sold it to this guy.
But it stays linked to your cloud account, which is so
yes,
weird.
stayed linked to your cloud account, and it was fascinating because it became trending across all of China on Weibo or Weibo, I think that's called
Weibo, I think, yeah.
and it's China's Twitter. And people were obsessed
went
with the
viral.
story, and they were like,
That a
they're like,
phone was
"You
found
find-
and some
you
guys
find
taking
love.
pictures with it.
This love story, modern love story," and they were very obsessed with these men, meaning not like actual, gay love.
No, but they're just like,
But they really,
these guys are meant to be in each other's lives
meant to,
somehow.
like brother and uncle, and I started calling. And
because the guy bought a fucking stolen cell phone. Like, to me, there's nothing romantic about this at all.
no, and they were obsessed with it. And then he finally got invited by someone, tracked down what city this guy was in based on the photos. Found and a billion people in China somehow found it. Which that's
We
pretty,
had
that's the
millions
most-
looking for him,
that's
which
the
is so
most
weird.
Fascinating part.
Yeah.
Millions of people looking for this guy. Found him. Super nice guy. He didn't speak English. This man didn't speak Chinese, and they met up, and then all the news crews were there, and they went on like an adventure together, like went to mud baths and did like all the traditional Chinese things and had dinner together, and people went crazy.
It's so weird.
I think it's fat. I mean, it's kind of cool, but
He bought your phone off the black market, and now you're buddies. Like, it's a weird. Our cultures are so different, and I think our culture is so weird, and I'm in it. I can't imagine being Chinese and like looking at our culture, and because looking at theirs is so strange to me.
well, there's something about Asian and Western cultures that is so distinctly different that makes it a really interesting thing to examine. Like, for some reason, we still feel very connected to Europe. I, in some ways, feel very connected to like South American countries. There's still like that kind of like we're kind of all from the same place.
Okay.
And because I mean, we are. There's a lot of people in South America that
for
were
the most part,
that
yeah.
were.
That's
everything was
why we're all called
essentially-
America. 'Cause
right?
We're all kind of from the same place. Yeah.
Everyone's pretty much from Spain and South America or wherever. But anyway, and we've never like fully crossed paths with Asia, and it's still so different. The
Still so
language, our
foreign.
languages aren't derived from each other. Our customs aren't derived from each other. There is not much overlap in terms of the way our histories have gone. And so even now it's fascinating to see how they live their lives. At least I think so.
Well, and I've always been fascinated by Buddhism, which isn't. I mean, that's Chinese.
And
There's a lot of Chinese
separate
Buddhists,
religion
but
too, I should say. I mean, you get the Judeo-Christian tradition, which is overlaps with Islam, and even through all of that, you don't get a lot of the Chinese religions, Buddhism, that you get. You don't get it here.
Well,
much.
even
So-
Hinduism in India and stuff too.
Absolutely,
it's totally
or
foreign
Hinduism.
to us here.
Yep.
But and again, still share a lot of the same concepts actually. But it's just so different to us, and that'd be kind of cool
I mean,
too.
I think it's fascinating.
Well, I'm wondering, if what our children someday or our children's children will know about China. I'm wondering just the fact that we're trading with them so much more now that I wonder
Right.
if that'll become a cultural trade too. I mean, I know they're already taking a lot of our culture on there. I mean, Western culture is considered pretty hip there.
Yeah,
Movies
well,
and all that kind of stuff
in terms
too.
of just there's already mass amounts of business overlap, so a lot of Americans learn Mandarin and a lot of Chinese know English, and so that's globalization and e-commerce have completely overlapped our cultures in that way, but still on a day-to-day life I still feel very disconnected from their culture. I think like living in Hong Kong, it's very Americanized, but like living out in rural
If you're
China,
in Beijing even,
right?
It's totally different than Hong Kong.
Absolutely. So,
Well, I just saw today. I went and saw the new Avengers movie the other day, just because I dig those. I don't mind wasting 2 hours of nonsense. I mean, it's fun to me to just kind of be distracted. But I read today that I think that the franchise, or not the franchise, but I think this movie is going to go over $1 billion now worldwide because of the sales in China.
yeah.
And I mean, that movie. There's so many things that are American about it. With you have Tony Stark with the rich capitalist missile and weapon maker, and he super rich in technology and all the stuff that he's doing. To me, I don't know what they relate to in those movies, other than maybe it's just the superhero part is universal because comic books and all that kind of stuff. What culture wouldn't get people with special powers and saving people being cool. I mean, that's that's all the fables too, or the myths, the creation myths are basically the same thing.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't see Americans embracing like a Chinese superhero series.
we're
it's weird how
nationalists.
the world embraces everything we do, but we're like, fuck the world. We're better than
Absolutely.
everybody.
It's super strange.
We're
I
so
mean,
gross.
We are gross. I am looking at a really interesting article in the Guardian about China right now, and it said China's love affair with cars began late. It doesn't give a reason why though, but it more than made up for the delay. In 2000, there were 4 million cars in China to the 1.3 billion population.
Think about that.
Experts
Think
predicted
about
that the number would be 6 times higher by the end of the decade. Instead, it soared 20-fold. 2 years ago, the country became the world's largest new car market. This year, it should see about 18 million in sales against 14.5 million in the U.S.
And I'm
US
telling you, and
sales.
again, I'm quoting that doc, so this isn't just like my own knowledge I'm going off, but that doc, I'm saying 50 years ago minimum or at the most, was when they started having cars, was what they were saying.
Yeah.
Like they were that far behind technology-wise because technology represented the West, and the West was evil. So the communists were trying. They told their people you wouldn't want to be like them.
Right.
That's a bad thing. And then once they kind of opened up, especially economically, they went, wait a minute, these guys are doing a lot of cool shit over there. Maybe we should copy them. And their economy has exploded since. There was one last thing I wanted to get in tonight before we finish the old little super show here. We're already coming up on 90 minutes.
Super show. Whoa, 90 minutes. Let's get
I don't
outta
want to
here.
argue, so I don't want to talk about the maternity leave thing right now. Maybe next time, though.
Yeah, please don't. I don't want to argue. I'm too tired for that.
Okay. Let's go on this note. I am so guilty of this, and I don't know if it's personality type, if it's just personality flaw, if whatever it is, but I am constantly analyzing and criticizing kind of everything, but especially my work. Like just at the restaurant I work at, but at AM 1500, it was the same fucking thing. John Haidt, the news guy, he'll attest to it was every fucking day. I'm sitting in that booth, across the glass from the hosts, going, John, why the fuck am I not over there? I'm better than these guys. These guys suck. The station sucks. We're going down. Like the suck. Just constantly complaining. but I was right. Like, I'm not saying that I was always wrong either. I mean, we were hiring some really bad hosts, and the station fell apart, and now it's completely different. So I wasn't necessarily wrong. But in the thing at the restaurant I work at, it's a great business. Like, don't get me wrong. If you're a customer thinking about coming to Burger Mo's, fucking go there. But just as a worker there, I can always come up with something to bitch about, and I can always say, well, why don't we do this? And I don't know if it's a personality trait or what, but I can never let it go. Like, I work with a bunch of people that we can sit and go, oh yeah, that's fucking stupid, isn't it? And then they've already forgotten about what we're talking about. And then I'm staying with it even when I go home and the next morning and the next day, even when I'm not at work, I'm thinking about whatever it is. And I guess my question for you and the audience or anything, or just kind of just putting it out there, is how do I, or am I stuck with this for the rest of my life? But how do you, if maybe you're able to do this, how do you just let it go? How do you, when it comes to anything? I don't know if I can ever do it. I like, okay, and then I'll let you respond. But so when I get into a fight with a girlfriend, I can't let it be out there that we're still fighting. Like, we have to resolve this. We have to come to at least where we go, all right, here's where I'm at, here's where you're at, we're never going to agree. But we have to at least get to there. And until we do, I'm freaking out. And I can't let it go. What would you say to that?
Okay, well, I mean, I think it's a strength sometimes, because I think it means you care about certain things. I mean, I think
that's my problem, is I care about things I can't control and that don't help me to care about.
Okay, sure. So I think you kind of answered your own question there by saying that is when you're overthinking something or when you're obsessing over something like that, you have to ask yourself two questions. Does this serve me in a positive way? This is you on the couch again.
I like it.
Does this serve me in a positive way? Because this is something that I overthink. Actually, it's more I get repetitive thoughts in my head that are irrational, and I worry, especially when it comes to relationships. It's not so much about work and things like that, but I start obsessing over and over again.
See, I'm worse on the work professional front. The personal relationship front, I'm not as bad.
Sure. And I say, yeah, does this serve me in a positive way? And if it doesn't, I repeatedly tell myself, this does not serve me, right? Like, this does not serve me. This is not bettering me. And is this something that I can control? And if it is, what can I implement to make it better?
Right. What steps can I take?
And if it's not something I can control, then it's telling yourself that to accept it the way it is. But there are a lot of things that you probably can't control. That's it, though. It's accepting things.
Yeah. And this, I think the whole point of this column or whatever I found was it's about being a perfectionist. And that's, I think, I know, I'm smart enough to know that nothing's ever going to be perfect. But yet I'm always demanding it. And I'm not perfect. Like, I know I fuck up. But it just drives me nuts when I see, especially...
Where do you see this happening the most in your life?
Just at work. I see where things were, if you just did it this way, it'd be so much better. But you don't. And that freaks me out. But again, it's totally things I can't control, and I should just let go. And that was the other thing that I found very interesting in this. This is something I think Deepak Chopra said in one of his books, or probably maybe all of his books, but 99% of the thoughts that you had yesterday, you'll have today. And 99% of the thoughts you had today, you'll have tomorrow.
Totally.
And how
We're
sick that
wired
is.
to think a certain way.
Yeah, but all we have to do is stop. Like, you just have to look at that and go, okay, let me start removing some of this clutter that isn't helping.
I have a really good book about rewiring your brain and letting go of obsessive thoughts if you want it.
Interesting. I might have to try that out. Do
you
know who wrote it? Or
no, I have a hard copy of it, though. I can bring it to you.
Okay, yeah. I'm kind of dying for a book like that. I'm actually, because I love self-help books every once in a while.
Well, it could be that I'm coming forward where I need one new.
Again. Yeah.
I mean, like that could also be a thing is when I'm challenged in a role, I don't obsess over little things that I can't control because I'm challenged. I'm keep moving forward with new things. And when I am obsessing and upset, then I'm probably not in a place that is mentally challenging me because I'm noticing things that I shouldn't be noticing and obsessing over things that aren't important. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think that part of that too, and this thing also brought up, was that meditation I think can help with that. And we've talked about how I need to do that. I haven't been doing it. I gotta get back to it because that's the only way to clean this fucking head of mine out.
Yeah.
All right, well, we will be back next week.
Sometime.
When, where, what time,
You'll
how,
find out.
why. Well, you know how. Spreaker.com or
iTunes.
MNPubcast.com, iTunes, all of it. You're listening to it, so you already found it. All right. We'll see you next week.